All right, give me 5. I want attention up here. Prior to learning how to add and subtract fractions without using fraction strips, we're going to learn to find equivalent fractions using the least common denominator. That's why it says use the least common denominator to write an equivalent fraction for each fraction. So I'm going to do some examples, and then after I do some examples, I'm going to give you a chance to do some work out of the book, or I forgot to get it. Yeah. Or finish up some stuff you need to finish. But right now you're not working on anything other than attentioning to me. I need you attentioning to me. So nothing else is out. Well, nothing else is supposed to be out, because I want you attentioning to me. Prior to adding and subtracting fractions using the standard algorithm, Molly has to quit playing in her desk. And after that happens, you're going to have to learn to find equivalent fractions for your problem. So what you're going to see in an activity like this is you're going to be given 2 fractions, and we have the fractions 1/10 and 1/5. And the instructions are use the least common denominator to write an equivalent fraction for each fraction. So we have 2 fractions, 1/5 and 1/10. We're going to find the least common denominator using the same strategy we used to find least common multiple, except this time we're only using the denominators. So our least common denominator of 10 and 5. Now, fortunately for you, there is the option of your multiplication chart in your journal, which would make it easy, because you could look in your row that starts with 10 and your row that starts with 5 and just go over until you find the first number that appears in both rows. Kayla, can you tell me what the least common denominator of these 2 denominators would be?
5.
Nope. We have 10, 20, 35, 10, 15, 20. Good, 10. So my least common denominator is 10. So now I found my least common denominator, which is 10. And then it says to change each of these fractions so that they have the denominator of 10. So I'm going to change 1/10 into something over 10 and 1/5 into something over 10. I have to change each of these into something over 10. Because that's what it says to do. That's why. Right here. It says that up here. Y'all are looking at me like, why? Not the letter Y from the alphabet, but W-H-Y. I guess W-H-Y does have the letter Y, but you know. All right, so Ava, I need to change 1/10 into something over 10 that is equal to 1/10. What should it be? What did I multiply by here to get 10? 1. So if I multiply my denominator by 1, I must also multiply my numerator by 1. And 1 times 1 is what, Ava? 1. So I know it's shocking to you all, but 1/10 equals 1/10. Wait, let that sink in for a minute. Let that sink in. 1/10 equals 1/10. Your mind is blown, I know. Your mind is blown.
Maybe.
Look, I can prove it with the picture. 1/10 equals 1/10. I know, right? I know, right? Now, Kayla, now we have to change 1/5 into something over 10. So I got to multiply my numerator and denominator by the same number. So what would you choose, Kayla? we just look at what we have. 5 times what equals 10? 2. So if I multiply my denominator by 2, I must also multiply my numerator by 2. And Kayla, 1 times 2 equals 2. So now we have 1/5 equals 2/10. And I can prove it. Boom! Shakalaka! Don't mess with me, folks.
Do you have God with your fingers?
Alright, so let's look at another problem. Because what you're going to have to do from now on as we start moving into fractions, you have to change the two fractions so they have a common denominator. I'm just saying. That's the way I roll. So let's look at 2/3 and 1/2. I have the fraction 2/3. I have the fraction 1/2. I have the student named Gunner. Gunner, do you have any idea what the least common denominator for 3 and 2 is?
6.
6. We're going to prove Gunner right. Least common denominator. We take our denominators, which are 2 and 3. 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 9. Boom. Shakalaka, Gunner's correct. Least common denominator equals 6. So one of the things you're going to have to do today is write down what... Stop. You're going to make people seasick. You're shaking the desks. One thing you're going to have to do today is identify the least common denominator. Second thing you'll do today is you'll change the fractions they give you so that they have an equivalent with that same denominator. So if I have 2/3 and I need to change that into something over 6. So Ricky, what am I going to multiply here so that I have a 6 here and then the same number here? 2, because 3 times 2 is 6. So Ricky, what goes here? 4. So now, just to prove it visually, I have 2/3, and I am saying that 2/3 equals 4/6. 6 are orange. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You already know.
Boom! Shakalaka, that's correct!
Boom shakalaka.
So now we have to change 1/2 into something over 6. Now, the 1/2s are easy. 1/2 equals something over 6. Let me call on Hannah. Hannah, what am I going to multiply here so that I get something over 6? 3. And what's my numerator? 3. And I can, once again, prove that by taking my 1/2 and 3/6 and comparing them. And once again, we get a boom shakalaka. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you get your journal out. You're going to open up to whatever the next part is, and I'm going to give you a problem up here. You're going to do it. I'll pause the video, then we'll go over it, and so on and so forth until I'm done, tired of doing that. Your fractions are 5/7 and 3/5. Find the least common denominator, like we just did. Find the equivalent fraction of those two. If you're working at home, pause the video. If we're working here, I'll pause the video.
Bye.
And we're back. And we're back. First thing we have to do is find the least common denominator. The least common denominator. Tatum, what are my denominators in this problem?
First 7.
What?
7.
No, good. And 7. What's my other denominator?
5.
5. Now, luckily, if you're one of my students, I allow you to use your multiplication chart, which is going to help you on the majority of the ones you have to do. What are you guys fighting over? Tell me. Victoria, what are you and Molly fighting over? The what?
Why is it always getting in the camera?
What is it? I don't know what it is.
Do daddy skills. Do daddy skills.
Well, we're all waiting. What is it you're fighting over?
She was fighting over something that was mine.
Oh. What was it?
It was, it was like, it's something like, I really don't know what it's called.
Okay. They're fighting over something. She really doesn't know what it's called. All right, so Tatum, we have our denominators of 7 and 5. What do you think our least common denominator is going to be?
35.
35. Let's see if Tatum's right. We have 7, 14, 21, 28, 35 there. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. There is my least common denominator of 35. Boom. Shakalaka, we got it. Boom. Shakalaka, we got it.
Can you say it again?
Now I have to change 5/7 into something over 35. I have to change 3/5 into something over 35. 5/7 into something over 35. And 3/5 into something over 35. I do. Because that's the bottom line. Because Mr. McMurdo said so! Cora, what am I going to multiply 5/7 by that'll give me a denominator of 35 and make an equivalent? 5. Because 7 times 5 is 35.
Yeah.
So once I fill in the blank one, I know 5 times 5 is what, Cora? 25.
Yeah!
And then we have 3/5. The old 3/5. The sneaky 3/5.
I know the answer.
Not Kimberly. What are we going to multiply 3/5 by to give me a denominator of 35? 7. Excellent. Because 5 times 7 equals 35. 3 times 7 equals 21. 3 times 7 equals 21. So now what I'm telling you is this. What I'm telling you is this. That if I gave Ava and I gave not Kimberly a test, and Ava's test had 5 questions, and she got 3 of them right, but because not Kimberly is more of a problem child, I gave her the test that had 35 questions, and she got 21 of them correct.
Yeah.
They would have the same grade. However, Ava would be done much quicker. Well, probably not Ava wouldn't be done much quicker because, boy. Please don't. Thank you. They would probably take the same amount of time, but they'd get the same grade because 3/5 is equal to 21 35ths. 3/5 is equal. Okay, Reagan, I heard you're funny. Help me, make me laugh. Okay, that is an excellent question. I found my least common denominator. You with me there? Okay, so my least common denominator is 35. Now, I made both of these fractions have a denominator of 35. So I'm changing 5/7 into something over 35. I'm changing 3/5 into something over 35. With me so far? So now, I know then I'm going to have a 35 here. So I'm going to start with what I know. Please stop, for the love of Pete. I know I have to multiply 7 by something to get 35. So, Reagan, what do I multiply 7 by? Okay, if I multiply my denominator by 5, I have to do the exact same thing to my numerator. If I multiply my denominator by 5, I have to do the exact same thing to my numerator. So 5 times 5 is 25. Now Reagan, I need to change 3/5 into something over 35. So what did I multiply by 5 to get 35? 7. So if I multiply my denominator by 7, I must multiply my numerator by 7, because you know 7 over 7 equals 1. So we're multiplying it by 1, so that multiplying by 1 doesn't change the value. Reagan, what is 3 times 7? 21. That is where the 21 came from. Let's put another one up there for you at home and you at here to solve. That'd be a good one. 2/15 and 5/6.
I have a question.
2/15 and 5/6. Victoria, you have a question?
Does the denominator have to be the same as the rest?
That's what the instructions are here. Find equivalent fractions. So equivalent fractions that these two have the same denominator, but one's equal to 2/15 and one equal to 5/6.
Wait, I have another question.
You have another question. Go.
Can you do another, can you do any number?
Yeah.
Any?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Work on it at home. And we're back. For those few of you that are making an effort, instead of just sitting at your desk going, I don't know what to do, 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 I don't know what to do. We're making an effort because I'm not really putting a grade on this. I just want you to try. But alas, there are many of you not even trying. Kristen's got this because I checked what he did. Kristen, what did you have as the least common denominator? Shh. Good. So, Kristen found the least common denominator of 30. Because 15 times 2 is 30, 45. 6 times 2 is 12. Why you don't know how to do this when I call on you is because you're not looking.
But
6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So my least common denominator is 30. Is there anybody in here who does not? Victoria, are you listening? Is there anybody in here who does not understand how I found the least common denominator?
before I did it.
Okay, but we got it now.
Yeah.
Ava? Okay, do you know which part of the fractions the denominators are?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the total number of pieces there are. Total number of problems there are. So I take my two denominators and I list the multiples out, just like the notes I just checked, until I find the first multiple that they have in common. So I listed my multiples of 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, and I would just keep going. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So now, my least common denominator is 30. With me? Okay. Now, once I have found my least common denominator, I'm going to change each of these fractions to something over 30. Why? Because that's what the directions say. And why? Because when we get to add and subtract fractions, we must have a common denominator. So I'm going to change 2/15 into something over 30 without changing the value. I'm going to change 5/6 into something over 30 without changing the value. Same value. Just like I said, if I give Ava a test with 6 questions because I like her better than Not Kimberly. Because I give Not Kimberly a test with 15 questions. These are going to be the same value. 15 and 30. 5, 6, and 30, something over 30. So now, Ava. You with me? Ava's with me. Okay, she's with me. Ava, what am I multiplying by 15 to get 30? 2. And I can look up here where I did my least common multiple chart. So if I'm multiplying this by 2, if I multiply my denominator by 2 to get 30, I have to do the same thing to my numerator because I'm multiplying by a fraction that equals 1. 2 times 2 is what, Ava? 4.
Good job.
So 2 15ths and 4 30ths are equal. If I give Ava a test with 15 questions on it, and she gets 2 right, and I give Not Kimberly a test with 30 questions on it, and she gets 4 right, they get the same grade.
What is their grade?
I don't know. I'd have to figure it out. I don't want to do the math right now. Now we have 5 6, and we need to change 5 6 into something over 30. Ricky, what do I multiply by 6 to get 30? 5. If I multiply my numerator by 5, or my denominator by 5, I must also multiply my numerator by 5. So Ricky, what goes in this as the numerator? 25. Now this one's much better. This one would be an 83. So if I gave Ava a test with 6 questions and she got 5 right, she would get an 83. And if I gave Not Kimberly a test with 30 questions on it and she got 25 right, she would get an 83. She just had to work harder because Not Kimberly's more of a pain. Logan, are you asking anything about this? No. Then I'm going to put one more problem up. And then I'm going to pause the video. And you can ask me the question that doesn't matter to life at all on this planet in a moment when I pause the video. So let's take 2 fifths and 3 fourths. 2 fifths and 3 fourths. Work now. Go. If you're at home, pause the video and work, please. And we're back. Those of you that haven't found the least common denominator are trying to do it in your head. And then you're like, I don't get it. I can't find it. It's so hard. And I'm telling you, step by step, you're writing down, doing some of these. I don't understand why you wouldn't find it. I take my 2 denominators. Mia, what are my denominators?
Your denominators are 5 and 4.
My denominators are 5 and 4. Now, luckily for you, you have a teacher that would allow you to use your multiplication chart. So you could look at the 5 row and the 4 row and go down those rows until you found the first number they have in common.
But I didn't.
The first number they have in common. Or you can know your multiplication facts.
I knew mine.
You can know your multiplication facts. And we'll list them. So Mia, tell me my multiples of 5.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
All right, let's stop there because you told me it was 20, right?
Yeah.
Mia, tell me my my multiples of 4.
8, 12, 16, 20, 24.
Boom! Shakalaka! We've got 20. Stop shaking, please. We've got 20. We change. 2 fifths equals something over 20. We change. 3 fourths equals something over 20. Mia, what do I multiply here to give me a denominator of 20?
4.
4. So I have to multiply by 4 fourths. Because 4 fourths equals 1. So Mia, my numerator is 8. Logan, I have 3 fourths. I want it to equal something over 20. What do I multiply by?
5.
5 fifths. because 5/5 equals 1, and if I'm multiplying by a fraction that equals 1, it doesn't change the value, and my numerator is what, Logan? 15. So now 2/5 and 8/20 are equivalent. 3/4 and 15/20 are equivalent. Mia, in a minute, I'm teaching right now. Your tinkling, Mia, is going to have to wait. Are there any questions? Ava, how did I get 5? Because 5 here, because I already had the 20, because I found the 20 here. 4 times 5 is 20. So I had to put a number here that would give me 20. And whatever I put here is I got to multiply by the same thing, and that's how it's going to get my numerator. Boom shakalaka. Peace out. God bless. Love ya. Do something kind.